Broadcast live.
Nice meeting you.
Likewise.
Easy, man. You know, firstly, you've been in the country, doing the thing.
Yeah.
Setting out in South Africa. I saw you post in the gram. How's the reception been?
Oh man, mind blowing. Honestly, it's you know, I knew we had like a strong fan base here, but it's even stronger than I thought, and it's just been a lot of love, just a great reception.
Yeah. I mean, like with regards to, I mean, I just read a little bit about you, and you obviously like were born in Paris, right?
Right.
So I'm asking myself, and you've also got like a little bit of Sudanese going
Right.
on, you know. So do you consider yourself like a French cat, an African cat, or an American cat?
I consider myself an African from Queens, really.
Yeah.
You know, as Africa and New York have definitely played the biggest roles in my upbringing. You know, my parents always made sure that we went back to Sudan. You know, a bunch of times when I was younger, they always spoke Arabic to us. They always made sure we didn't lose our identity.
Yeah.
But I grew up, you know, since the age of pretty much 7 or 8 in New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel that, like, I mean, when I look back in the day, you know, with artists like Akon, who are literally like who are mainstream but coming from Nigeria, it almost felt like, you know, they were like one in a few that got recognized in America, and it was almost like, although they're successful, it never felt like they were always welcome. That's from looking from afar, you know.
Right.
And right now, you know, there's a lot of conversation about Africa. Do you think the tide has also changed, you know, with regards to American acceptance of African acts and African creatives, or just things that are happening there?
Absolutely. I think in the States you're seeing Americans more than ever be influenced by what's happening here.
Yeah.
You know, and it's I think it used to be sometimes that African cats would think they had to make, you know, more Western or American music to be accepted, when actually what broke through is the guys that are doing like African music, and then the people in the West being like, man, this is really dope. And then that's culturally it's bridging a divide there.
Yeah. Does it also like give an opportunity for an artist like you who literally says, look, I haven't disconnected from where I'm from? It's kind of cool, you know. It's almost like an opportunity to talk about more than just like what you want to do with music, etc., etc. Does it really open more doors to do that, to be in those conversations?
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, growing up, I was always like the African kid in Queens.
Yeah.
You know, so my foot was always in each places. You know, and you know, they call it being a third culture kid. Like no matter where you're from, you're still kind of from another culture. Like when I'm in Queens, you know, I'm still African. When I'm in Africa, I'm still a New Yorker.
Yeah.
When I'm in Paris, I'm still an African New Yorker. You know what I mean? So it's refreshing for me to see that some of the things that, you know, maybe I only used to see or realize, now because of culture, because of music, because of all these traditions crossing over, you know, a lot more people are starting to see that.
Yeah.
And it's just building more similarities and relatability between, you know, both sides.
Yeah. Outside Sudan, is there any other African place that you've been to before you actually popped as an artist?
No, before music, it was just Sudan. So it's been eye-opening. I went to Lagos in April with Cole.
Yeah.
He was doing a show out there with Wizkid and Davido. It was exciting to see them perform. A big fan of those guys.
Yeah.
I got to touch stage and you know, it was like 5,000 people going word for word with me. I was blown away. That's when I turned around like, we got to start doing more shows just on the continent as a whole. We just came from Nairobi before we were in Durban. Yeah, so it's you know, it's beautiful. I think it's like a real cultural renaissance happening on the continent.
Yeah.
And you know, the whole world is paying attention, and you know, it's a good time for, I think, everyone here and the whole African diaspora, just worldwide, to really support what's going on and shine light on what's going on and come here and you know, try to build culture.
I saw you picking up some artifacts in Kenya.
Yeah.
What have you picked up here in South Africa?
I haven't gone to the market yet.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of time off now. So honestly, if you could recommend some cool traditional markets, I want to get some art pieces. You know, I like getting some paintings for the house.
Yeah. Definitely though, I could hook you up with. How long are you around?
I'm here through the New Year.
Oh yeah.
New Year's out
Oh,
here.
I saw your post about everyday people.
Yeah.
I saw you posting on the 29th. I just thought that maybe you were just
No, that's actually my brother's party, DJ MoMA.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing it here on the 29th, and then they're in Cape Town the 30th.
Okay.
So
Are they still coming, or who you here with?
I'm here with my squad. I got a few of my DreamVille producers. They're flying in this week. We're gonna do some studio sessions, do some work, and then you know, when MoMA and all the everyday people crew get here, we'll party with them. And you know, I haven't figured out what we're gonna do for New Year's yet.
Yeah.
We're gonna be here for sure.
Okay, cool. Have you picked up any guys that you want to work with here locally?
Yeah, I just saw Shane Eagle's been on my tour.
Oh yeah, Shane Eagle. And you I'm sure have you been speaking to Supernova?
Yep, I don't know it. Yeah. I don't know it for a minute.
Yeah. In fact, Nova was telling me about you when I was in LA like a week ago. So I'm pretty much like, oh yeah, now it's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
The homie.
And I know he's working closely with Shane, or at least he's around them and he's here.
Yeah. So you know, me and Shane are gonna get some work in. I'm a fan of a lot, man. I'm a fan of a lot of people. I like Nasty C. I haven't like met him or nothing, but I like everything I've heard from him.
Yeah.
I met the bro Casper in the club the other night.
Yeah.
He was dope. He did like performed in the club. I like the songs I was hearing.
Yeah.
I met some of AKA's management yesterday. So I'm here, man. I'm here to work, catch the vibes. I want to meet some producers.
You
know, there's a lot of cool sounds coming out here. I dig all the Afro house, and I'm just here to get inspired.
Yeah. To be honest, you know, with you, I was like, you know, when you listen to music, you don't listen to music with names and everything else, you know. Right. So what I do when I'm driving, I just hear something and I put it in a playlist and I never see who it is. So when your album dropped, you know, I'm the second last joint that you have, that up-tempo joint.
The Spaceships and Rockets.
Yeah. And I love that song. So I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean?
That's inspired by you guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's DJ MoMA. He produced it actually.
Yeah.
So he's always been, you know, back in the States, he's like one of the biggest Afro beats, Afro house DJs. That party travels around the States, everyday people. So he was always coming here and putting me on to the music. And then when he did that beat, I was just like, man, you gotta let me rap on that.
It's dope. It's dope. As a joint completely, it's dope, you know?
Thank you, bro.
So yeah, I was a bit surprised because I don't, you know, there's so much music you just don't see, you know, but I got it on the album though. And with that, I mean, just because you've obviously hit Cape Town, Durban, and last night you 2 days in Joburg.
Yeah.
Out of all those 3 cities, where did you get the most action?
Man, Joburg rivals any city we've ever done in the world, honestly.
Yeah.
Just as far as how live the crowd was.
Yeah.
You know, every song from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, they were just going word for word. I mean, that's up there with any city.
Now, you know, I mean, I ask this question just simply, I'm always interested in the beginning, you know. What's the song or the verse that gets you acknowledged by, say, DreamVille to get into that space?
Well, DreamVille is really like it's a homegrown operation. It's family. So I knew Cole before I ever wrote a rap. You know, before I ever wrote a single rap, I knew Cole.
Yeah.
And then when I did start making music, he was always someone that just provided like really honest, like constructive feedback and ways to improve. You know, whether it's cadence or delivery or, you know, even when my stuff was real amateur. And then, you know, I think like 2 or 3 years after that, I just kept working on my craft and he was starting a label.
What is the verse that, or the verse or the song that you're like, I have an audience, but this has just spiked my audience?
You know what, I think a lot with this album has helped grow me like outside of just the DreamVille fan base in a sense, because I started pursuing other sounds, you know, that are maybe different than the DreamVille sound.
Yeah.
You know, we all have ties that link us together, but I started exploring more, obviously, like some African sounds, some like French electronic sounds. You know, growing confident enough to a point where you start to take all the things you like and not worry about who's gonna understand it or how your audience is gonna feel. And ironically, that's what grows your audience the most, you know, is when you take those risks. So I think, you know, a lot with this album I've noticed there's songs being picked out, whether it's Tribe, which is like a Brazilian, like jazz sample, Boca Raton is like you know, Afro-Caribbean. Shout out to Sango Beats and all the Solection homies, Spaceships and Rockets. You know, kids at my shows like dancing now. Like my last album, they weren't dancing. You know, it was a lot like deeper. I love it. You know, I love Too High to Riot, but it represented something different. You know, and I think with this album, with Milky Way, there's just a lot of sounds that are incorporated that appeal to, I think, a more global audience.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind me being honest, you know, I mean, the first album, you almost can hear when people are close with each other, when people almost like you know, like you're saying with Cole, like now that you're saying that you guys, you've known him before you even wrote a rap, it's almost like I listened to it because I was like, okay, let me catch up on him, you know. But like with this album, you know, it's like I've repeated it a couple of times, you know, because like there's always something that stands out, you know what I mean? And like I say, without me even knowing it was you, I put it on my playlist, you know what I mean? And by the time I've heard the first single with Cole, I was like, okay, you know, I want to hear the rest of it, you know what I mean? So essentially, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, I was by default, you know, I'm a J. Cole fan. You listen to J. Cole, you listen to J. Cole's like associates, affiliates, and you're like, still. But then this, for me, also, you jumped out as yourself, you know.
Right,
what I mean?
exactly,
You know?
exactly. I think that's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
You know, it's just time and working on your craft and confidence and just learning more ways to put your own personality into the music, you know. And I think that was a goal of mine with this album for sure.
What is the one show in the world, place, where you were like, yeah, this is you felt yourself, you know what I mean? What is, like, just in the back of your head, you're like, yeah.
I mean,
you know
I swear to God, you're gonna think I'm gassing you guys, but it was really Johannesburg.
Really?
The Sands. Like that was like, I kept turning around and looking at my DJ and my manager and my keyboard player, what the hell is going on right now? This is nuts, you know? It felt like New York, except I've been in New York my whole life. So you know, you expect that. You know, we brought out ASAP Ferg in New York, and we thought that was gonna be the peak of this tour, you know? But yeah, the Sands, I'll never forget. I can't put anything above that, honestly.
You got a good reception also with, in Kenya, you know. While I'm just watching your gram, you know. I was trolling you, you know. That's what I gotta do. What's the single that you think, or just song that you always feel that you need to perform in your set? That song has to be in your set, no matter what. That's a tough one. There's a few, probably Housewives. Housewives is fun because it's also like kind of aggressive. I like to make brighter music, especially with this album. Boca Raton, Tribe. But yeah, I think Housewives is made it for the longest. Like, it's hard to take it out of the set. What's the feature you think that you still need to get, if there is?
I don't know if need is the word, but want, there's a bunch. Honestly, I want to work with some more Afro beats artists. I would love to get in with like a Burna Boy or a Wizkid or someone like that. I just love what they're doing with rhythms, and honestly, there's not a lot back home that's inspiring me in the States right now, because it's a lot of the same. You know, I think there's a lot more like innovative and like original rhythms and melodies being done here. I'd love to work with those dudes. I'd like to work with Black Coffee. That'd be cool. He's a legend.
Straight.
So yeah, I mean, you know, that's why I'm here. That's why I stayed extra time. I've already been meeting tons of artists and producers. So, you know, I definitely like to do more work with some African artists.
It also seems that even the view of success to a certain extent is also changing, you know, like within an artist, or at least like you know, I grew up at a time where there were certain producers, you know, it was Premiere, it was Havoc, it was, you know, it was literally like, rap was literally like in a box.
Right.
And it seems like it's opening up, it's becoming wider. The tools to actually create are becoming wider, you know. Is that your perspective also, because you've got a little bit of African in you, or is it a general perspective like with music in New York? Hip-hop music?
I think we're probably ahead of the curve in that regards, because obviously, like I said, we always have our ear to what's going on here, and it's been inspiring us a lot. But I think that's definitely the case, because we have the internet now, and all it takes is, you know, one click for your music to go from, you know, Lagos to LA, and someone out there to be inspired. You know what I mean? So yeah, you know, I mean, I think it's like it's two-sided though, because even though that is available, we're still getting a lot of the same. You know, I don't think there's enough people taking advantage of that, or, you know, just being like, okay, let me call this kid in Johannesburg and fly him to my studio, you know what I mean, in New York or whatever. It's that easy to do it, and your label will pay for it. You know what I mean? It's just, people just don't think like that.
But the doors are open. I guess it's just a thought, like you're saying, just thinking about it. And to wrap up, you know, you've literally seen a couple of things in the game, you know. What's in your bucket list that you still want to tick as an artist?
Bucket list.
Have you even thought of that yet?
You know what? It's we kind of always talk about really enjoying the moment and living in the moment, because if there's one thing I've seen in this profession is you'll find a lot of artists, and these sometimes are friends of mine, people I genuinely care about, and they're just, you know, not as happy as they should be, because, you know, there's always goals. You want to get to the bigger venue, you want to do the higher capacity room, you want to do the arena, you want to do all those things, but, you know, if you get stuck in that zone, then like all the cool stuff that's happening to you, you know, it's like you have to smell the roses, you know what I mean? You got to take your time to really enjoy it. So I don't think too much about it, but I would say bucket list, I'd love to play Madison Square Garden in New York, just because that's home, and you know, that's one of the world's most famous arenas, so that's definitely a bucket list moment for me.
All right, cool, yo, man. Thanks for making the time.
Through,
man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
We're possibly gonna bump into each other somehow, somewhere, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be in the streets, man. You gonna see me out here.
You know, I get you. I'll send through the places you can go to get stuff. Thanks a lot, man. Out here, click on live with Vaz 2018.
Broadcast live